surface. I don't need nobody to tell me I'm not on a spinning ball. When I'm one place unless I move, I'm not no. I don't go nowhere. Only when I
Everybody,
move, I'm in a different place.
everybody here in America that lives in Kansas would agree with you.
Not even there. I lived in Kansas City and I rode bikes around there. It's very hilly. So no.
It's flatter
What's up,
here.
vegan? How you doing, buddy?
What's up, Tim? What's going on, brother?
Nothing much.
I'm
Hope
sitting
you've
here.
been doing a bit of research, sounds like.
I've been doing what?
A bit of research, sounds like.
As far as what?
Did you look into some of the things I told you about Bobby Boy from Glowbuster?
Yeah,
Yeah.
I looked at it.
I want to mention that. I think
A lot of it I heard before.
Yo, vegan. I think you like that documentary. It edited things and told stories that weren't true, and this whole narrative like Bob was trying to hide information, or like that's all BS. Bob didn't try and hide any information.
Yeah, he had a mic on him, and he knew that he was mic'd
Yeah.
up. But
And
it
I-
does call into question, like I said earlier, why he would say this is confidential. Like
but
that's kind of weird.
it wasn't because he told the information to everyone. So like, I don't know. I hate Bob and I think he's a scumbag and a liar and all that. But I just think like the angle you went at Bob was unjustified, and also the whole mud floods derailing flat Earth. You did the same thing on your own panel, vegan. I was on your panel talking in a flat Earth debate with people, and you changed the conversation to mud floods. So you're guilty of doing the exact same thing you were mad at Bob for doing.
P. Mars, what the fuck are you talking about?
I'm talking about when we were talking about flat Earth, sphere Earth on your panel, and you go, "Hey guys, let's talk about what do you think about the mud flood?" You did that. You changed the whole conversation. You derailed from flat Earth to mud floods, and then you yelled at Bob for doing the same. You did the same thing. You're being a hypocrite.
Dude, what the fuck are you
I'm
talking about?
talking
I think
about
vegan,
the panel.
vegan's been anti-mud flood, though. I
Yeah.
think that's been his stance. So he's probably wanting to address the disinfo.
Yeah, if that did occur, which I don't even recall if it did, I wasn't in support of it in no way. I am
Yeah, and I'm with you.
anti-Tartaria, anti-Giants. I'm anti all that bullshit.
Yeah, I'm with you on that too, vegan.
Well, maybe I don't know. Maybe that was your interpretation, but that was not it. Now, as far as you guys saying what you're saying, I don't agree. Bob is making you guys look good. So yeah, go ahead and say that he meant it and he was being truthful, whatever. Either he's an idiot or he's compromised.
Okay, well, vegan. They made that documentary. They made it look like Mark Sargent is trying to get on Patricia Steer. That's not even true at all. Like they edited stuff to create these characters in a documentary to be entertaining. They didn't. It's not. It wasn't truthful. I don't know. So
Especially with the Jaren thing at the end.
That it definitely wasn't truthful.
Well, I mean, ring laser gyro does actually detect 15-degree rotation, and that, is attributed to the spin of the Earth. So,
Well, can you dive into that a little bit further? How do we know that's exactly what it does? I'm just wondering because I haven't looked into the technology of that thing.
well, everything in the sky basically moves at 15 degrees an hour. So, 24 hours or 360 degrees divided by 24 hours is 15. So 15 an hour. So he detected what is known in science, at least, as the spin of the Earth. So.
Well, what you just said, the sky is moving.
Yeah. Well, from an observational standpoint, vegan, and we talked about this in our 9-hour lecture. Basically, we had. Basically, from an observational standpoint, you can't really tell if the Earth is moving, the ground that you stand on, or the sky is moving.
Okay.
Relative to you, what you see, the sky is moving. You don't know what is actually moving out of it.
Okay. So it didn't prove anything. Is that what
Well,
you
it
said?
proved. Truthfully, I wouldn't even say it proved anything. I had a live stream earlier, and I said, well, Bob's never showed any evidence of this gyro or any of its results. He's just said that it detected 15 degrees. So if that's the case, well, I don't have another explanation for it. If flat earthers wanted to fill that in with luminiferous ether, the 19th century fictitious force, that's up to them, which that's where he went. But, very shortly after that documentary, that's been out for like 4 months. I saw that like 4 months ago. But they were having globebusters, and they were explaining, Jaron even explained his observation and what happened, and then Bob already had to explain this in globebusters. So they already had their alibi basically set, but everybody just kind of caught wind of it as of recently.
If you guys are still talking, I'm just queuing up the documentary. That's all I'm doing.
Gotcha. Yeah, they're all muted. I don't know.
I'm here.
So-
I'm just smoking.
So what do you actually think about the documentary as far as, besides the whole Jaron thing at the end and Bob, what do you think about, was it a hit piece? Was it actually documenting, the journey of flat earthers, or what do you think, Vegan?
I think it definitely wasn't helpful to the Flat Earth initiative or movement or community, or whatever way you want to look at it, and that those who participated in it gave you guys leverage to discredit Flat Earth even more. That's what I think.
But Vegan, truthfully,
we didn't
from
need
my
that.
standpoint, we have all of the evidence on our side. Not from your standpoint, of course. You're a realist, and you look around and it seems flat or whatever. But like, if you actually look into the celestial sphere and a lot of the concepts on the spherical Earth rather, they all work empirically, so we can observe them. And if you're a realist, I would expect you to know about the southern celestial point, the northern celestial point, and the equatorial rotation of the stars that are empirical. So a realist would go out and say, "Hey, look, that's how those stars move." But I don't think you realize this yet, Vegan.
No, I definitely realized it. It's just that I don't see the connection of how what you see in the sky is a reflection of our world.
Because when you actually move on the Earth that we stand on, as you change in latitude and longitude, it directly matches what we have predicted for the sphere Earth. So you would expect if a ball was spinning, there would be an axis point, a north and a south point, and equatorial stars going around it.
Yo, Tim,
That's exactly what we observe.
Can I explain this more simply? So,
Well,
vegan.
Hang on 1 second before you go, P. Mars. Those predictions that you guys like to quote, you do realize those predictions came when they actually believed that the Earth was flat. You do realize that, right? All your predictions that you're taking credit for are ancient, and many of those ancient.
We're not talking about predictions.
Yeah, I am actually, and that's actually vegan.
About,
That's actually patently false because
we're talking about the predictions of the stars. The predictions of the stars were around before the globe Earth model was ever established.
No, they weren't.
So when you
No, they
start
weren't.
talking about the cosmos and the stars, you have to also include flat Earth when they came up with these ideas.
Vegan. No flat Earth prediction has all of the prediction capability that the spherical Earth has. So you're gonna say ancients had the whole Earth mapped out as far as latitude and longitude and what the stars look like? No, they had what's called a local planisphere. So wherever they were, they could understand the stars in their local area. They could understand when to grow crops. They could understand when winter's coming, when summer is. Exactly. But they never had the whole Earth as we do today.
I agree. I totally agree with that. But when you start talking about ancient or observations and knowing the trends of these star predictions, you have to go back to when it first was established. It was established by the ancients.
I just negated that completely, okay? I just said that they didn't have it all mapped out. They had their local area mapped out, vegan, but not the whole world.
Areas were all put together to develop a body of knowledge.
No, actually, vegan, there are millions of practical astronomers that go out and validate the spherical Earth or the celestial sphere model every single night, and they use equipment like AE. Go ahead.
Based on the historical record of what the ancients did.
So
which
you
were-
believe in the ancient history then? You believe in
No.
all that stuff?
Well, it's
Oh,
not
no?
about believing the overall.
You're appealing to it, though, vegan. You're appealing to it.
What I'm saying is I'm agreeing with you. Locally, they were able to use the stars to navigate, to use the stars to determine predictions of various things in their local
Yeah,
experience.
which means they can't see the, if they're in the northern hemisphere, they can't see the southern hemisphere stars, vegan.
What happened was once the empires got bigger and more technology came along, a lot of those predictions were all put together to develop a body of knowledge that we got today.
Okay, where's your citation of how they did that then? Well, you're saying it, you're a realist, you get onto people when they make claims. Where did you get that from, vegan?
Well, I think it's logical.
So you're making logical assertions to me when I just told you that there are millions of practical astronomers that go out and validate stellarium and all these different models and predictions that we have. And I also told you that the ancients never modeled or predicted the whole Earth, okay?
But they validate off a historical record. Do you disagree with that?
So have you, so you've looked at stellarium and you've actually validated with historical record, vegan. Are you saying that to me right now?
No, wait for my question. They validate based off a historical record?
Well, it matters, I guess, if you're talking about the Vedic cosmology, which was the closest to our cosmology now. They believed in a 4 billion mile wide flat Earth with multiple big bangs. They believed that there was all kinds of different pizza pies and stuff like that. So no, they didn't have the accuracy we have today, vegan.
I'm not saying any of that. I am saying that a lot of the stuff that we have today is based on the collection of a body of knowledge that has occurred over the centuries.
Okay, so that validates. Okay, go ahead.
Or the idea of the globe Earth.
Well, your appeal to tradition is fallacious, and unless you have like something else to go along with it, other than it's just ancient.
It's just an assertion
based on observations over hundreds of years, right?
Right.
You talk about Halley's Comet without observations that cover hundreds of years.
But that that doesn't matter though, because like think about this: when you're
now it doesn't matter.
Well, I always want to talk about something different that maybe I hope will be simple for you to understand. Okay. So like,
now I don't understand. Okay, go ahead.
So you're standing on the Earth and you're looking up at the sky at night. You see stars, and there's angles to the stars, right? You can measure the angles from where you are to the star. Would you agree with me?
Maybe, yeah.
Maybe. So
you guys want to go to outer space to justify your claim?
No,
I want to stay on the Earth.
I'm just talking about geometry.
Our approach to our ideas come from two different places.
I'm trying to make this as simple as possible. Geometry.
You guys are in cosmos. I'm on Earth. That's
right. We're on Earth. In my example.
Vegan, you want Earth then? You want Earth? You want Earth observations?
That's where we are.
Wait, just let me finish this. Vegan. Okay, so you're on Earth. You can look at the stars and you can measure the angle. Can we agree on that?
Sure.
Okay, so now, as we travel along the Earth, the angles will change, based on our position on the Earth, the angle to the star is going to change. Are you with me?
I never lost you. I'm right here.
Okay, so as you travel the Earth and the angles to the stars change, those angles are consistent with the sphere Earth. And if we were on a flat surface, the angles would be completely different.
Are you sure?
I am never change.
HIV positive.
You're positive.
I'm HIV positive.
Vegan, do you know what latitude you're on by any chance?
I believe it.
Do you know what latitude you're on? Do you know what latitude you're on?
Not right offhand, no.
Okay. Do you know what angle Polaris is in your sky?
Not right offhand, no. I tell you
right,
guys,
once you know the latitude, you'll know that other question.
You guys base your positions off what you see in the sky. I don't.
Okay, let's go on ground here. What I have pulled up here is from Salt Lake City. This is 26 miles from Antelope Island looking to Salt Lake City. Now, as a realist, what would you say as far as this building that actually has 100 feet that comes from the water's edge up to the building's base, and then half that building is being obstructed by very, very level, calm water over the Great Salt Lake? Vegan. So, as a realist, would you say that Salt Lake City is underwater?
I would hope not.
Yeah, I can assure you it's not, because I live here. So I
Right.
keep doing these kinds of observations. And since you want to stay on the ground, well, there's many observations that actually completely debunk flat Earth. And this is something that should be in your wheelhouse as far as observations here on Earth. So what do you have to say? How does this work on a flat Earth? As I raise in altitude, as you can see here, 1.5 foot, 5 foot, and 25 foot, as I raise in altitude, I start to see more and more of these buildings symmetrically. And then when I go closer to the building set and actually look at it, I'm not seeing any of this beach that leads up to it. I'm not seeing half of this building, which is 420 feet high. So I'm just wondering, as a realist, how does this work on a flat Earth?
First, we will begin by authenticating your picture. So first, I need to
That's
see,
fine. No, that's fine.
I
Yeah.
need to see if your picture is real as a realist. You want to keep saying that. As a realist, I would have to verify everything that you just laid out there. So we're back to square one.
I know,
Until-
I totally agree.
Until that could be verified, why would I give you a comment?
So let me share screen, and I'm not sharing the link, obviously. So I can go to the actual day with the P900 I have, and I can actually look if they were modified at all. This is 612. So I have all my images here that are unmodified. We can go and look
Right.
in the properties. We can also see videos, which is going to be a lot harder for me to fake. As far as imagery would be much easier just to grab the middle horizon and move it up a squatch. So anyway, I have also videos of what it looks like out here. Like I said, this would be much harder to fake. I don't have this video capability to do this personally, but
Right.
I'm telling you, this is what you get here at the Great Salt Lake. This is 26 miles, and flat earthers run from this. This is something that doesn't fit the narrative.
It's not a running. See, before you got on the panel, I was talking about joint experiments.
Yeah, no,
Yeah.
that's cool. Hey, come to Salt Lake City anytime. I got a place for you to stay.
Because I was talking about joint experiments because what's happening behind that camera? I mean, why would I just accept you showing me video footage or anything of that nature without authenticating it?
Well, that's why a lot of
What would you accept?
a lot of
I'm
glo-
showing you unedited images.
I'm
Vegan.
telling you what I think we've been doing this for years. I think we're at that point in time where we have to physically do things together. With
So vegan. I've asked flat earthers, Jaron.
With third-party independent observers documenting everything.
what do you need?
So
to-
Jaron
how many years?
and I talked not too long ago. I told him
Pretty true.
I told him to come up here and do Great Salt Lake. I've told Taboo Conspiracy because he comes to Salt Lake City. So I've told them to come out here and please validate these and do observations for me. Nobody comes out.
And George did
I'm
too.
not denying that. I'm not saying you guys haven't reached out. I'm not saying that our guys haven't reached out.
Multiple globe earthers, vegan, have done experiments and offered room and board to flat earthers to come and join
do
in.
not trust globe earthers. Globe earthers do not trust flat earthers. That is the reality of this
That's why the
discussion.
globe earthers do the globe earthers vegan. Hold on.
Why do
vegan.
we keep playing that game, man?
No,
Let's
vegan.
do some-
Hold on. You're not listening to me. I'm saying multiple vegan.
Go ahead. I'm listening.
Multiple globe earthers have offered, people come out and stay with them while they do these experiments that prove the globe, and none of these flat earthers have ever taken them up on their offers. I think
You are regurgitating yourself right now.
One
We've
of the-
already
who's-
established that.
there's a guy in Australia that offered to pay for a flight, and he bought Greater Sapien
Right,
flight.
Flat earthers out, and they didn't come. And I'm sure I can find some flat earthers that say the same thing. We don't trust each other. So why are we playing this game? If we really want to find truth in this discussion, we have to do it together.
So vegan, what this takes is actually you taking the first step because you personally don't trust any other people's work without being there or this kind of without this kind of verification process. Then how about this? How about this, vegan? Come to Salt Lake City anytime. If you can come out here, you can have a place to stay. We'll go out to the Great Salt Lake. We'll go to Bonneville Salt Flats. We'll go to Moab, and I'll show you that the Earth isn't flat within a day.
That sounds very interesting and tempting. We'll talk about it offline.
Yeah.
But again, you guys don't trust flat earthers, and flat earthers don't trust you. So why are we assuming that any evidence that we lay out that is of this nature that is going to convince the other side? It's not.
I wouldn't necessarily universally speak for flat earthers and globe earthers in this universal manner.
I'm going off the trends. That's all I'm doing. The trends are we don't trust each other. Would you agree with that?
I've never had one person except yourself that denied this imagery for its authenticity. Okay? And I've showed it to probably 50 flat earthers. So that's my experience with it. They try to explain it their way. It's atmospheric conditions, swells, waves, Aries diffraction, all this in perspective, whatever. But they've never, ever said it's fake. You're the only one that question it.
Well, if you think flat earthers will or agree with your picture, that's dumb. We just need to find a way where we can do this in real time and it's documented, well documented. See, the beauty of this, we even considered this, right? The beauty of this, either we're gonna legitimize flat earth or you're gonna put a nail in its coffin. That's the beauty of
Vegan
if we can at least come to that level of understanding the importance of a joint experiment.
Flat earthers.
You guys could destroy us very easily if we all became humble and just did an experiment together.
This does destroy you though.
Vegan flat earth has been around. Flat earth has been around for hundreds of years. You guys don't do anything because you don't. The earth is just, like, you don't have evidence to support your claims.
If you guys think that, that's part of the problem.
Well, what? How is that wrong? How is what I said wrong? That flat earth has been around for hundreds of years.
It's not about right and wrong anymore. It's
flat Earth was before the sphere Earth, remember? He just brought that up. The ancients were actually flat earthers. So flat Earth has been around even longer.
You guys have been repeating arguments that are 200 years old. And no one agreed with them 200 years ago. No one's going to agree with them now.
To be fair, though, Vegan just said if we actually did the experiment that the ballers would destroy them.
Right. You would. If you do the experiment and the tests turn out the way that you guys claim, flat Earth is done.
Vegan, so if that happened, if you were here in Salt Lake City and you saw that for yourself.
If you want to destroy flat Earth, I think that's the approach. But I think now we're talking about our hypotheses and what we think. I think y'all would have to legitimize us if we did a joint experiment. Y'all would have to stop this rhetoric that you have now.
Vegan, you know people are believing in mud floods and giants without evidence. Just because we prove the Earth is a sphere isn't going to stop people from believing the Earth is a flat. I mean, we can do experiments to the end of time. There's still going to be people that believe the Earth is flat. You'll never be able to convince.
How do you know that?
So vegan, if you actually came out to Salt Lake City, hold on. If you came out to Salt Lake City and I gave you a P900 and you yourself took those similar images as I did, would you still walk away saying you're a realist and the Earth is flat?
Well, I'm always going to be a realist, but if I realize that what our experiments is happening and is truthful, I have no choice.
What is a realist?
A realist is someone who's grounded in reality. A person who is.
So isn't that very subjective to call yourself a realist? Like you're calling yourself grounded in reality?
Well, we got to talk about what I think reality is. I think reality is based in what is truthful.
So it's even more subjectivism.
So you think truthful is subjective?
Yeah, because actually there's subjective truth and objective truth. The objective truth of this matter, of the shape of the Earth, is that it's a sphere. Now, there are people that walk around and say that flat Earth is the truth and they know the Earth is flat. They're wrong. They're subjectively, that is their subjective truth. Okay.
I'm not talking about what people say. See, truth is a reflection of that which is. So it's not about what people think or say. It's about what is. Now, if we do an experiment, a joint experiment, and it shows that your premises are correct, that's truthful. See, I don't believe in objective and subjective truth. I think that's some man-made construct. I think there's only one truth, and that's objective truth, that which is. Subjective is man's way of creating some type of ideology to make himself feel that he's right when really it's in direct contradiction of reality.
Yeah, like flat Earth, exactly. So anyway, hey, can you look at this?
Call it what you want. You can call it what you want, but you got to be able to show that. And
I am showing you that actually, and you deny it.
I'm proposing a method for us where we can settle this. We
And
can
come out to Salt Lake City.
we can elevate flat Earth, or you guys can put a nail in and put it in a coffin.
So vegan, I also have these videos, vegan, which are 4K drone videos, right? So this, as you see, this water right here is extremely, extremely calm, very calm over the Great Salt Lake. So very good for doing observations. But if you can see where there's a kind of a dip in the mountains, kind of to the right in the middle there, as I raise up, I start to see what's called Gunnison Island. This thing is a peak. It's a mountain peak. Now, as you continue to go up, you actually start to see more and more of the mountain peak right here, as well as the mountain peaks that are in the distance as well. This is something you wouldn't expect geometrically on a flat Earth and what you would expect on a spherical Earth. So I have many demonstrations of star trails. I have demonstrations that the sun doesn't change in angular size throughout the day. I have demonstrations and observations from Lake Tahoe, San Francisco, Salt Lake City, and other places. So when you guys, when you want to now change kind of the rhetoric and say, well, now we need to do a joint thing, well, let's do it then. If you're just going to stand there like Dell does all the time and say we need full exploration but never push towards it, well, then you're just going to continue this rhetoric. But if you actually want to come and do it, let's do it.
You guys have been arguing with flat Earth theorists too long, and I think you guys just have been skipping over me because you're used to them coming back at your claims. I'm not coming at none of your claims because I don't trust any of it. I don't trust nothing you guys say. So it's one of these things where for us
that's not a realist, by the way, and you're not a realist. Your definition of a realist is incorrect. You're not a realist, and you like your ignorance, basically.
You can label me any way that makes you feel comfortable. The reality
you have no observations.
The reality
you have no observations. You have no model. You have no map. You have no predictive capability to your whatever you're trying to pitch here. I do, vegan. Okay, as a realist, I know that I do. You don't.
Tim, tell us what you think. Go ahead, bro. Tell me what you think. I got
I'm
it.
just saying you're fake. You're fake.
I'm gonna sit here and listen to whatever you think. Go ahead, brother.
Well, as I'm parting, I will just say there's no reason for you to distrust my imagery or any of the photography I've ever done.
You want me to believe?
You do.
You want me to believe?
No, I don't necessarily want you to distrust them without any evidence.
Accept and believe you. That's what you want me to do. Right?
I just showed you their original unedited videos and pictures, dude.
You want me to believe in the invisible?
I don't care. I don't care, actually. Vegan, take care, buddy. Good luck.
Okay, well, thanks a lot. Thanks for
Good
joining.
luck, man. Yeah, thanks, man.
Again, you can't convince me by just using your rhetoric. Your rhetoric is not enough.
Well, that's
we're beyond the rhetoric.
You just use rhetoric.
Well, I mean, is my rhetoric correct?
No.
I don't trust you. I mean, if I say I don't trust you, I don't know what else to say other than that.
I think your arguments are stupid.
Well, if you think it's stupid, you can characterize it any way you want. P. Mars, I've been talking to you for years.
So, like you said, what you only believe if...
I'm saying to you guys what they never say to y'all in these discussions. I don't trust you. And because I don't trust you, no matter what rhetoric that you put out and imagery that you put out, I'm not going to accept it unless I can see it tangibly. It's not tangible. It's inanimate. So the realities of this is if we're going to ever gain a level of trust for one another, we have to take that initial step to do this thing live for everyone to see. Either we're going to prove that you guys are wrong, or you're going to prove that we're right. That's where I'm at now after 4 years of this. That's where I'm at. So you can
4
tell
years.
Me well, has it been 3 years, 4 years? How long has it been?
That's probably about right. It's just funny that it takes you 4 years and you still have gotten nowhere.
4 years I didn't trust you. Yeah, I didn't get anywhere. You're right. I don't trust P. Mars. I don't trust Tim Osman. I don't.
So
I don't trust NASA. I don't trust.
When you go to.
I don't trust Joe Rogan. I don't trust none of you guys that's peddling the status quo.
When you go to
I
bed,
just did a country song about Tim, and actually I threw P Mars in there too. I gave him a little shout out.
thanks, buddy.
No, it was actually pretty good. You ought to listen to it.
All right, put the link. I'll check it out.
It's on my channel.
What's your channel?
Michael Jordan.
Okay, I'll check. Well, is there only one? Is it gonna be hard to find?
I don't know. I've never tried that.
Oh, jeez.
I guess you click on the picture.
But hey, Vegan,
But I've got a few songs on there, and the country thing was just really playing around. I wanted to make Timmy.
Vegan, do you trust your lungs to keep breathing when you go to sleep at night?
Do I trust my lungs?
Yeah, because when you go to sleep, you're not consciously breathing. How do you know your lungs are gonna keep breathing? What if they just stop working when you're asleep? I mean,
They stop working, you die.
and you don't beat your heart consciously, do you? You don't beat your heart. You trust your body to do certain things. If you didn't trust your body and you had to consciously do every task in your body, we couldn't even be human beings.
So
And the same concept applies to, like, your mistrust in other people makes you extremely weak and ignorant.
So I should trust people blindly.
You should trust something, and you should figure out epistemology and how to discern between truth and propaganda. I would suggest you study how propaganda works.
Okay. So I'm more susceptible to propaganda because I don't trust. Is that what you're saying?
I'm saying you're susceptible to propaganda because you need to study propaganda, for one. And then you can discern things better because you'll know, like, what to look for is how they manipulate you. And it's pretty hard to know the truth because we are living in a world full of deception.
You're manipulated if you don't trust what people say.
Reverse psychology.
Oh, okay.
Bam.
So by me not trusting you, I am somehow sabotaging myself from not knowing truth because I don't trust you. Is that what you're saying, Mars?
I wouldn't say sabotage. I say you're just an extremely weak and ignorant and useless person if you trust no one. You have to develop some sort of trust in something, and it's each individual's responsibility to discern for themselves, like, what that is. But this extreme nihilism, this extreme skepticism is not good.
Extreme.
Can I step in for a sec?
Okay. So
Hello?
So if I accept the ideas of men versus holding them to an objective reality, that makes me weak. Is that what you're telling me?
I mean, that's just a way you put it. I like the way I put it. We should let King talk. I think he hasn't said anything.
Okay, let's let King talk because I want to learn to accept the ideas of men without evidence. Go ahead, bro.
Yeah, I think his analogy of trust, that was a bad analogy using do you trust your lungs and stuff, because that's a sense that was automatic once you came into the world. It's like you don't have to trust that.
Yeah.
That's something you know happened.
Yeah, I got that analogy.
Also
I got
it's
that
also
analogy
with-
from Alan Watts, and he's like a famous philosopher. So I mean, I don't think it's a
But
bad
that-
analogy.
I don't care who's famous for what. That's the problem. We give too much credence to man, and that's why we are having this talk tonight. And it's like the same with observation and all that. Is like no one would believe about being on a ball that's spinning until man came up with that. Once you go off your senses, you know that you're breathing. You know what you see when you go outside. You know what it is until man manipulated our thoughts with all these concepts. And that's what we're doing by giving too much credence to what man says that it is, when actually all you have to do is use your senses, like Vegan says in the past. And that's why we have problems, because we have too much credence with man. And you don't understand how man lies. But that's what I wanted to add on about that trust thing.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Because when we outsource our intelligence, when we outsource our being into the hands of people who say they know something without providing concrete, objective evidence, you're now becoming a slave. Because that man can steer you in any direction because you are blindly accepting.
Right.
I mean, think about all the atrocities that has ever occurred throughout human history. It all starts with people believing in ideas and trusting the words of men.
Yeah, and
I think we got into this globe earth issue simply because of trust.
well, I think
And
it's. I'm sorry.
giving it to you no more. Go ahead.
Well, I think yeah, people when they get into the alternative media, when they discover the mainstream is lying, like sometimes some of them have a tendency to just trust the people in the alternative media, and I was guilty of that early on. And I realized that the alternative media was just as controlled as the mainstream. And I got to this point in 2009 where I pretty much stopped doing research because I was studying propaganda and I was learning like basically all this information and all this internet and all this crap is all propaganda and it's lies, and it's really hard to discern the truth. So I pretty much like gave up doing research into stuff and started just trying to live my life and use my knowledge that to help me in my everyday life. And so I mean it's definitely not an easy answer to this finding out what the truth is.
No, it's very easy. You hold people accountable for their words, and they have to show it objectively. It's that simple. Stop.
I don't think it's that simple.
Stop accepting subjective ideas of men and women who claim to know something without providing established, concrete evidence. And I'm not talking about going with the herd. I'm not talking about just following just to follow. If you are truly serious about what you're saying, you're going to be able to show it objectively, and we're all going to notice it because we all have the ability to know truth.
Honestly,
I don't know truth in your words. I don't know it, so I'm not going to act like it's authentic. I don't know.
Honestly, I think we're going into this period where they're actually they want us to not trust the system, and they're brainwashing us into this mindset of extreme skepticism. And I'll cite the Cultural Cold War book by Frances Stoner Saunders, where she talked about CIA propaganda, and she said that they were promoting nihilism. And nihilism is extreme skepticism, and nothing is more nihilistic than the Flat Earth movement. CIA.
Would you agree that more than probably about 95% of people believe in the globe? Would you believe that?
I'd say 99%.
Okay, you can go as high as you want. But you do agree that it's probably in the 90 percentile, right?
Agreed.
Okay, so if the government wanted to control the masses, would they go after the 1% or the 99%?
If they wanted to control the masses, I mean, they'd go after the 99%, right?
Absolutely. So our government or our controllers is not going after a small-ass minority of people that's challenging something that they claim is established. This is not a COINTELPRO movement.
What's your evidence?
Because if it was, it's a bad one.
But you can't compare that with like Flat Earth though.
You
Like
don't have the majority of people following it. The majority of people are being indoctrinated starting at the age of 5. The majority of people are learning about the globe starting at the age of 5. So if there was a deception, it would be in your best interest to go after the 99%.
Well, this just shows, because I mean, this is just conjecture. This shows a lack of research into how the CIA operates, because they're responsible for all these grassroots movements. When I listened to Frances Stoner Saunders, was it her? I don't remember. I was doing research, and they were saying that the CIA just like throws all these darts at a dartboard and see which one sticks. So they create all these little small groups, and then whatever catches on, then they've created it, and that's how that works. So your whole premise is just you don't understand how propaganda works in the CIA and what they're doing.
So I don't understand that the CIA wants to influence the majority of people. Is that what you're saying?
Well, your logic is like, oh, well, they're only going to target the 99%. They're going to ignore the small group. Like, that's not realistic to how they operate. They absolutely, they were behind Jim Jones And that cult, that was CIA, and that was a small group, vegan. You don't know what you're talking about. I've done research into the CIA and propaganda. Listen to me and stop just arguing based on... You don't know what you're talking about.
You know,
I'm an
and
expert on this
also-
compared to you.
Christianity. If you're going to use Jim Jones as an example, he was a Christian. He was a Christian church preacher. That's a majority of people in the United States. What are you talking about?
He was in a small cult.
But it was a Christian church.
So what? It was a small cult. The Christians thought he was crazy. Your argument's terrible, and you don't do research on this stuff, and you're trying to like debate me on this. You don't know what you're talking about. Why are you trying to debate me when you don't know what you're talking about? And I've read books on this. Clearly, I'm demonstrating my knowledge, right? Like, give me a break, dude.
I'm very much up on Jim Jones, the Branch Davidian, and all these other small sects that come out of the majority of the.
Oh my God. You just can never admit you're wrong because you have to be this fake guru. You can never admit you're wrong. I also proved you wrong. You said that you can't prove a negative. That's stupid.
When have you said you were wrong about something in any of these discussions?
I will always admit to being wrong.
When have you done it?
I can't specifically think of something off the top of my head, but I know that I for sure have.
Mark, the thing you just accused me of, you do.
No, I don't.
You don't realize it.
I can think of one thing. I used to think that a scientific theory, when it was developed, became a scientific law when it was proven or something. That's not true. I used to think that, and that was a mistake. There's tons of things I've thought that I've been wrong about. Tons.
You have. We all have, but in this discussion...
Yeah, I can admit it. You can't, because you have to be a fake guru, and you're trying to lead people. But why are you trying to lead people when you're just a security guard? You don't read books about like you don't have any knowledge to bring to people like me.
P. Morris, can I ask you a question?
You can.
Oh my God.
So you're a Glober, right?
Yep.
So what convinced you that you're on a spinning ball Earth?
The thing that convinced me was the two celestial points in the sky, but I don't think that's the best argument. I think the best argument for the Earth being a globe is the fact that we can navigate on it and get around. If we don't know the shape, how would people even get anywhere? You know, there would be no maps that work.
You